following takes place between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Time Out for Sports Talk here at the Belmont Media Center, where we continue to be Belmont's first and only live all-sports talk show. Good evening to you once and all. My name is Todd Bloniars. It is Wednesday night, April the 16th, 2008, and hopefully you got your returns in, and we will try not to be too taxing this evening. But we will be here for the next 60 minutes taking your phone calls live at 617-484-2443. Again, that number, 617-484-2443. Your phone calls are always encouraged, welcome. Please call in, especially all of you who claim to watch the show but never call. We love first-time callers. Love to get some new, fresh opinions on the program. Of course, you can also email us, and in fact, you can actually watch our show anytime. You don't have to watch us live, and if you don't catch us live, you can catch us through the Belmont Media Center website or through Google Video. You just do the search for Time Out for Sports Talk, and you can pull up any of our old shows, and if you have comments or queries on any of them, you send your email thoughts to timeoutforsportstalk@hotmail.com. All one word, all lowercase letters. So we are ready to kick off this program. I'm Todd Bloniars, he's Howie McClellan, and it is just the two of us tonight. We don't need a guest because there is just so much going on in the world of sports this month. In fact, I got to tell you, Howie, I think April's turning into one of my favorite sports months. Can you hear me a little better now? My apologies that the microphone was so far away. Of course, I know people will tell me, Todd, you talk so loud you don't need a microphone.
I think this has been tremendous. I mean, we have sports as a third guest tonight. I mean, we have so many things that are going on right now, and I mean, so many people that are winning in this town, and playoffs, and baseball season starting. It's just a great time to be a Boston sports fan. Yeah, no, I mean, you got all these different seasons going on, and we're going to try to get a few different topics out of the way before we get going here. If we can flip back on our one shot. I don't know how well you can see this picture, but this is Teresa Jane Ventola, also known as Tess, and she is the new daughter of Mark and Phoebe. Of course, Mark Ventola is our director here at Time Out, and we certainly want to extend our congratulations. Also, big brother Bryden now has a little sister to welcome into the family. That happened since our last show. And just think, she already has a song named after her by the Dropkick Murphys.
Can we call her Tessie, Mark? Does he have any objections to that?
You know?
Was that part of the inspiration, I wonder, for her formal name will be Teresa Jane.
Yeah.
Which TJ isn't bad either.
Yeah, there you go. Already has the same song after her.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to Mark, Phoebe, and big brother Bryden on that. There you can see one more time, just hours old. Thank you, Mark, for emailing me the picture so we can get it here on our newfangled technology. So we certainly congratulations there, and of course Mark directing our show tonight. He planned. I want to actually thank his wife Phoebe for planning it so well. She had the baby between shows, so we had Mark direct our last show, and of course he's back here again this month.
Yeah, and actually it's probably the first time he's had any peace and quiet since then.
Yeah, perhaps that could be the case.
Been there, done that.
Well, we've got more mentioning to do here as far as our Time Out for Sports Talk crew, and this one involves our good friend Patty Mihalich, who actually has not been a part of our crew for several months, and part of the reason why is what you see over my shoulder here. She is part of the Belmont Dramatic Club's production of Brigadoon, the magical musical from Lerner and Loewe. And that is going to be taking place April 25th, 26th, and 27th, and then again on May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, so over a couple of weekends. They'll be doing some shows, and Patty actually has a small part in that. She's going to play, I guess, a bartender in one of the scenes, but I know she's also doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. She's been very busy the last few months. That's why she hasn't been part of our crew here at Time Out, but certainly worth mentioning. We wanted to let you out there know what she's up to, and we certainly wish her all the best. I guess what in the biz they say break a leg, so that's what we'll wish for Patty.
Yeah, and knowing Patty too, and how much an effort she wants to put into making the scene right. I know she's done a lot of character acting.
Yeah. Didn't I hear you were there at the bar trying to help her out?
Trying to help her out. Yeah, you trying to help her. All the support her friends can give her.
You said, "Thank you. Can I have another?"
Yeah. That was Animal House.
Yeah, I know.
But you gotta really get into your scene and your act, and I know Patty's probably put a lot of effort into making the scene look right.
Right. No, you're right. No, that's going to be great. So again, Brigadoon's taking place. It's the Belmont Dramatic Club, which I was told is one of the oldest dramatic clubs in the country.
Where is it?
Began back in 1903. Where is it? Well, that's a good question. It's on 455 Concord Avenue. Actually, that's the Town Hall. Belmont Town Hall, of course. Thank you, Victoria. Victoria would know that, our resident historian who's here in the house. It's going to be a town hall, and again, the dates for that, April 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's Friday through Sunday, and then May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, also a Friday through Sunday. Evening shows, and the Sunday shows are matinees. Evening shows at 8, matinees at 3. If you want to know more, you can go to, well, we don't have a website for you, so... I would say go to the Belmont Town website, or you can also Google Belmont Dramatic Club and have a list of all the shows and a ticket
Now,
form.
do we get the Time Off of Sports Talk discount on tickets?
Well, I got an email from Patty, and I didn't see anything about a discount in there, which was, I found that interesting. She just sent the email saying, please come to the show.
And if you really have trouble finding tickets to the show or about it, just call us, and we'll give you Patty's cell phone number, and you can call it directly.
There you go. Right. I'm sure she'd love that. She would absolutely love that. Well, let's continue to jump around here and talk about...
Bobby!
Yeah.
Oh, poor Bobby.
Good friend of ours here at Time Out. He's been a guest. He actually was a guest on our 200th show, which I actually went back and watched since hearing the recent news about Bob. I wanted to go back and actually see that. It's kind of funny because that show was 5 years ago this month, so April of 2003. A very small Jeff McClellan, much smaller and younger than you know him now, but he was also
in studio.
Yeah, he was here in studio. We actually had him on the set because Bob had to leave and go get ready to do a newscast. Sadly, Bob's not going to be preparing for too many more newscasts in the future because, if you might have heard, he was laid off by WBZ Television. A lot of layoffs going on across the country. One of Bob's coworkers, Joyce Kulhaywick, also...
Sarah Underwood,
and
Scott
Sarah,
Wally.
right? Scott Wally, right on the news side. A lot of cuts going on over there at Channel 4. But for Bob, he was coming up on his 30th anniversary over at WBZ, and certainly the last, I think, of an era. I know when we had Bob on, and I was going back watching that 200th show, we talked about Don Gillis. And then we kind of segued into Bob Lobel as kind of being more the current generation's sportscaster, like we grew up with Bob. You grew up with Don Gillis as well. I mean, he was certainly on the air for
he took a shot.
A long time too.
That was a shot.
Well, I mean, I vaguely remember Don Gillis also, so it's not totally out of the realm. But yeah, we're gonna miss Bob on the airwaves certainly.
But look on the bright side. Now that he has nothing to do, maybe we can get him back on the show.
Well, I was actually just gonna lead into that. We're gonna hopefully try to get him back in here again. Actually, we are a good luck charm because if you remember last year, we had both Frank Malakote and Mike Rattay here, and Frank got a job with Channel 25 News shortly after being on with us, and I believe Mike Rattay is working down in Rhode Island. He has an on-air job as well. So if we can bring Bob in here in between jobs, maybe being seen here at the Belmont studio will kind of get his career
Give him his second
rolling
career?
again. Yeah, he's not ready to retire. I think he said that a couple times, and I don't blame him. I mean, so I think we'll definitely see him somewhere. Somebody's going to hire him. It's just unfortunate what's been going on. I mean, a lot of CBS-owned stations were looking to cut payroll. A lot of veteran news and sports people are laid off, and of course, the latest rumor now is Katie Couric and her large salary maybe getting the heave-ho as well, because she's maxed out the CBS salary cap. I don't know, something like that. We're going to go to the phones at 617-484-2443, and we're going to talk to Tony. All right, well, welcome, Tony. Is this a first-time caller to the show?
No.
It is not.
No, it's absolutely not a first-time caller to the show.
Okay. Why did you introduce yourself as Tony? I know who this is. Well, this is Mike.
Yeah, well, because I wanted to give you... because you're getting boring and predictable, so I thought I would throw you off a little bit.
I'm being boring and predictable? Wow,
you're
okay.
boring. You're very boring and predictable.
All right, well, I don't know where that came.
It's Sweeps Week. I wanted people to have some suspense.
Oh, okay.
It's cable television Sweeps Week, so I'm trying to help you out there.
Well, thanks, Mike. Actually, this
kind
is
of like a double entendre or something like that.
Oh, okay. It's going over my head tonight. I don't know why, but Mike, we're actually glad you called. This is fairly good timing because we're trying to roll off a bunch of different things off the top of the show. And I think the next thing Howie and I were going to get to, certainly, we can talk about the Frozen Four. And congratulations to the Boston College Eagles doing something that has not been done in 13 years. They won the Beanpot Tournament, they won the Hockey East Tournament, and they won the NCAA Championship. Last team to do that was Boston University back in '95. So congratulations to Jerry York and his Eagles.
I didn't know that. That's pretty amazing. Congratulations to BC.
Yeah, the Triple Crown.
When did they win the national title?
Yes, they did, and I believe a certain caller on the phone right now was actually out in Denver to see the Frozen Four on a little bit of a vacation, and hopefully you're going to share with us some of your experiences out there. You still there, Mike?
Oh, I thought you were waiting for the caller that was there.
Mike, you're the caller that's there. Boy, you're really... what is...
I was at the Frozen Four. I guess I can't lie since I called you from the third period, but yes.
Yes.
It was quite amazing. It really was a heck of an experience, especially since I had the tickets for a year and didn't even know BC was going to be in it.
Well, right. That's what makes it. I know you're a huge Boston College hockey fan anyway, Mike, so this worked out as well as it could have for you. You had the tickets well in advance. You didn't know who was going to be there when you showed up, but lo and behold, the Eagles were there, and then, lo and behold, they win their third national championship.
It was an amazing. You know what? It was a great event, and I was thinking about it. To me, it has a much different feel than that farce that they put on with the basketball, because that to me is just a corporate event where they put it in a 70,000-seat dome, and it's just so overblown. With this, the college hockey finals, it was in the Pepsi Center, which was one of the more impressive arenas I've been in. But real fans could get the tickets, and it was all real fans at this game. I mean, it was amazing to see people walking around in all the different college jerseys. You saw a lot of BU jerseys. You saw a lot of Maine jerseys, UNH.
Well, what were they there for? None of their teams were playing.
What?
What were they there for? None of their teams
well,
were playing.
These people go every year, and they just support their teams. I saw one guy
teams weren't
who
there.
Was,
what were they
I
supporting?
could best define as opt.
So, Mike, you're saying they were supporting Hockey East because they weren't, their teams weren't playing, but they go every year just to support the.
Yeah, well, it's also an event. I mean, it's a vacation, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I went with a buddy that's been every year for 10 years, and he's a Lowell fan. They've never been in. But I did see one guy who was optimistic. He was trotting around in a Merrimack shirt, and I was like, okay, you are years away from ever having your team here, but good for him. Denver is a nice city. They put on a great event, and I think something very good for college hockey happened in that Notre Dame made a run to the finals and played really well. And I think that could only help college hockey because there was a ton of Notre Dame fans there. And the other thing is, North Dakota people are just plain weird. They're as weird as you would expect from living in a place with no indoor plumbing.
Okay. But why do you say that? Because they just get, overly dressed up, overly enthused?
Yeah,
in
they took over this bar, and as I'm walking by, they're all screaming at me, Sue. And it took me a little while I figured they weren't just all introducing themselves. They were trying to get me to get into it with them because I had a BC hat on. I just walked by and said I didn't think so, and then my friends didn't let me go back to the bar afterwards to toast them as the Buffalo Bills of college hockey, getting to the tournament and losing 3 years in a row to the same team. Needless to say, though, I had a lot of fun. I got to fulfill a lifelong dream in Denver. It was really a lifelong dream.
Yes, what was that?
I got to give people at a Denver bar my true opinion of John Elway.
Oh, boy. And you came back in one piece.
I said John Elway, well, I didn't say stinks, but I used a word very similar to stinks.
And you managed to get back here in one piece.
Yes, I did. It was quite liberating, actually. It was very liberating. And I would recommend anyone to go to a sporting event in Denver. It is quite a city, and they have a liberal policy of finding places that have free beer all over the place. So I would definitely say that is amazing. But it was good hockey. It was great hockey, and it was a lot more fun than we watched the NHL playoffs up there, and it was boring compared to what you were getting with the bands. And this kid Nathan Gerby for Boston College is just unreal. I mean, he had two incredible games, and he was scoring from like his stomach. He was flipping the puck up. He won Most Outstanding Player, and it was a rush. It really was. It was a rush to see them win, and it was a great event. All the fans were really into it. People were congratulating us as we walked out with our BC stuff on, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's going to be in D.C. next year, and I really think it's a great event to go to because The tickets aren't that much, and you can still get them. You don't have. It's not like the basketball where it's out of the real fans' reach. And I think that's the thing. It's a bunch of real hockey fans watching some good hockey, and it was just a bonus that BC won.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously this was their third straight year going to the championship game, and they had lost the previous 2 years. But this time around, I guess ND was the magic letters that allowed the Eagles to win their third national title, beating North Dakota and Notre Dame in succession. You mentioned Gerby; he was a Hobie Baker finalist. Of course, even the Eagles even had their own Muse in net, I believe. Correct?
He played it. Yeah, he played every minute of the season. He was
a freshman too.
Yeah, he only gave up a couple of goals. He gave up 2 goals in the 2 games, and he was a freshman. This kid is going to be lights out. I mean, absolutely lights out. But it would have been a great football weekend. I mean, you throw North Dakota out of the mix. I mean, you had a hell of a football matchup on Thursday night when it was Notre Dame and Michigan. And if I have to hear that stupid Michigan fight song one more time, I'm going to throw up. They just play it incessantly. But then, in fact, it looked like a football match. Both teams had their hockey helmets painted just like the football helmets. So if you squinted, you could have been at a great football game.
Yeah, that would have been quite a game, huh, Howie?
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't go over too well.
What? No. No, but Mike. No, I'm glad you called in and you had a chance to talk about this. Like I said, we wanted to talk about the Frozen Four anyway, and you being out there and seeing, like you said, it was you had Notre Dame, Michigan, North Dakota, and BC, 4 great hockey powers. Of course, Jerry York winning his 800th career game. Now I think he's up to 802. So congratulations to the pride of Watertown, Mass. Another local guy makes good. Certainly, York has had a great career at Boston College, and you can't be any happier for him.
Yeah, and I think they're actually going to be contending next year too. I mean, they really came together, and they've got a lot of good players returning. It's going to be it was great hockey.
The strange part I had heard is that because they brought Muse was a freshman goalie, is that a lot of the experts didn't think that this was the year. I mean, the last 2 years, I guess, were BC's years to win. They were really more senior-laden, and this year was kind of more of a transitional year, and no one was really expecting them to get back to the Frozen Four, and amazingly they did. Yeah,
and they won it, and they ran North Dakota right out of the arena. I mean, they beat them 6-1, and the game wasn't even that close. Notre Dame gave them a little bit more of a tussle. There was a huge momentum swing when a goal got called back for Notre Dame, and BC scored about a minute later, and that pretty much broke the back of the Irish. But they really came together, and Muse did not look like a freshman until he took his mask off at the end of the game, and he looked like he was 12. This kid's playing out of his head. I mean, he's going to go places. He really is if he can just keep it going. And the other one is Gerby. Gerby will be in the NHL before long.
Yeah, he's not. Is he a senior this year?
No, he's a junior.
Oh, and he was a Hobie Baker finalist too. Wow, so they'll have him back next year.
I can't believe I didn't see the kid from Michigan who won it, but I find it incredibly hard to believe that that Gerby didn't win the Hobie Baker. He clearly was the best player out in Denver. I mean, there wasn't anyone that was even close.
Well, really, when you get down to those finalists for that award, they're all top notch, and it's hard to make a decision. And in the end, maybe it's just maybe which player they've seen the most. So it's always a tough choice. But certainly, we're glad you had a chance to go and check that out. I know I saw the ad for next year. Saw the ad for next year about DC. I was certainly thinking about doing that too, maybe even tying it in with a ballpark trip to the new baseball stadium down there. Certainly could be worth checking out. But any other thoughts on your mind? Anything else in sports you want to talk about? Certainly, it's been a busy few weeks.
I'm sick of the Red Sox versus the Yankees. They're on right now. It's the top of the fourth. The Yankees are winning 3-2. But the story that happened this week that got me officially sick of this was the thing about the Ortiz jersey buried at Yankee Stadium. Do you realize they spent $30,000 to dig that thing out? I mean, how stupid is that? This rivalry's just got to end.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm done with it. It's like, oh, come on.
I don't know who the bigger idiots in this, whether it's the construction worker with the Red Sox fan ties that confessed, or he told his friends that he had done this, and then word got out, and of course then they had to go and dig this thing up, or all the taxpayers' money that was spent, and in order to dig this thing up. I don't know. I mean, I think everyone comes out looking like an idiot in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's 3-3 now, by the way. But it's just, it's stupid. It's like now we're just artificially creating a rivalry, and it's at this point, it takes away from the stuff that's on the field. I mean, it really, truly, truly does. It's more than just a baseball game, and at this point, if we're concentrating on burying jerseys in concrete and curses, we're just trying to sustain something that was artificially created in the first place. And,
Howie,
just enjoy it. It's
you're right.
Enjoy it for what it is.
You're right, Howie. Wouldn't you admit this was just a stupid story that got blown out of proportion?
Oh, wait a minute. You mean I'm here?
Sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to.
I'm part of this.
I was trying to get you involved,
Wow.
Howie.
Hey, geez.
I'm sorry.
Glad I could get a word in here.
I'm sorry. I was
That's
trying to
okay.
get you.
That's okay. I'm glad they buried it. I'm glad they dug it up because it seems like since they dug it up, Ortiz has been hitting. So maybe the curse was on Ortiz. So now they dug the shirt up and he's freed from his tomb, and now he's going to start hitting.
That is. I mean, that makes some sense. I don't even. Is that the reason? I wonder why the guy finally got the news out there because Ortiz got off to such a slow start. I don't know. I mean, it's just.
I don't know. The curse was on him. He got buried, and they dug him up.
That's.
Oh God, they'll rebury his shirt now.
What else is on your mind, Mike?
Well, unlike you guys have been saying all year, and I'm going to call you on this. I mean, I know you've been down on the Celtics all year, but I'm going to reiterate. I think they're going all the way.
Who's been down on? Whoa! Who's been down on the Celtics all year? Who said anything bad about the Celtics all year?
Todd has.
No, you said
And
you.
I've been
First off,
trying
you
to tell
said
them
you
they're gonna win,
guys.
and Todd
First
has
off,
been
you
on them all
said
year.
you guys. So specify who you mean when you say you guys, because I haven't been down on the Celtics all year. So what are you talking about? Who said what?
Todd said the Celtics were terrible and overrated. And I've been
I
trying to tell
don't
them they're
remember
gonna be
that.
championship caliber.
I don't remember that.
I actually didn't. I think you were the one who said that, Mike. I've been trying to convert you.
I have it on tape. I have it clearly on tape. You saying the Celtics are terrible. It's in my own private collection.
Wow. I don't know. I'm actually looking forward to the playoffs. I don't know about you, Howie, but I mean, it's going to be different this time around. I mean, it's been like 20 years since we've had a chance to. I mean, I suppose you could go back to that 2002 season, but I mean, frankly, I think this is, I think it's going to be a fun postseason coming up.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've been enjoying the Bruins postseason at this point. They played some tremendous hockey.
Yeah. No, they have.
Yeah, they just can't get a break. I mean, that's the bad thing about that is it just can't catch a break. I think they're done at this point. I don't think they're coming back from 3-1, but I think there's actually hope on the horizon for the Bruins. I really do.
I wouldn't count them out just yet. If they can steal Game 5 in Montreal, I think they got a shot. Actually, the interesting thing is I don't know when that Celtics Game 1 against Atlanta is going to be, but it could conceivably be Celtics and Bruins playing at the Garden on the same day.
I don't think they're going to. If they steal one in Montreal, they're not going to steal two. They are truly not going to steal two in Montreal. I don't think this team is constituted to do it. They've benched their top scorer Kessel for whatever reason. I don't think they're coming back from 3-1. They may get one more, but they're not going to get two. This isn't going to be a 3-1. They're going to advance on them.
Well, I'd say, though, what's been most impressive, Howie, I mean, you'd probably agree with this, is that, this is a 1 versus 8 matchup. These teams were supposed to be mismatched, and in fact, Montreal won like the last 11 against the Bruins going into that series. And, with the exception of the first 5 minutes of Game 1, I mean, these teams have been playing almost even. Yeah,
and unfortunately, because of the penalty that was called in that second game, the phantom trip, which put them in the hole going into the overtime, which was terrible. And then last night, they had 3 scoring chances shorthanded before that kid scored the goal. So, I mean, they've been in it right up till the end. It's been hard hitting. They've been digging. They've been, good choppy play. I mean, it's been great. I mean, great playoff hockey.
Yeah. No,
well, that's what it's about. I mean, I got a chance to watch some of the West Coast games out in Denver, and obviously the Avalanche, and we were actually with some people who are Mighty Ducks fans. And there was some good playoff hockey out there. I mean, I didn't get to see much of the Bruins because it was so early and we were at the hockey games. But there has been some really good playoff hockey in a lot of overtime games. I mean, but comparing, I actually prefer the college game better. I really do. I think it's a cleaner game. I honestly do. I think there's just more to getting into the college game than there is in the NHL. And that's maybe my own personal opinion, but as of hockey-wise, I just think it's just a little more exciting.
It's not what sells tickets, not what put people in the seats.
What'd you say?
I said it's not what sells tickets or put people in the seats.
Yeah,
They tried to go that route in the NHL, and it didn't work. That's why.
Apparently, all you have to do is be from Montreal to put butts in the seats, from what I heard of the reports of the two games that were in Boston. From what I was hearing, and I didn't see it, but it was about 50-50 Canadians to Bruins fans, which to me is almost unheard of for a playoff game.
I believe they were saying there were a lot of Montreal fans who came down south for the games, but I also think some Bruins fans made the trip up north, too.
Well, that's always the case. I mean, but, did those Bruins fans actually make it into the game, having gone up to Montreal with a Bruins crowd? Sometimes they don't make it into the game.
Yeah, you're right.
They like to go up and do a little partying.
Something like that. Okay. Well, listen, Mike, we're gonna let you go, but thanks for calling in and giving us the update from Denver.
All right.
Take it easy.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good talking to you. Okay. Your phone lines are open, 617-484-2443. Why don't we talk a little bit more about the we were talking about the Bruins series. So, yeah, I mean, you have you been watching all these games then? I have to admit I've only seen like little bits, and as you know, I'm not a huge Bruin fan, although actually one thing I would disagree with Mike on, NHL playoffs I think are definitely right there on par with the Frozen Four. If you're comparing NHL regular season to the Frozen Four, that's no contest. I would go with college game, but the NHL playoffs is a different level of hockey.
Yeah, it's more intense. Like I said, it's more hitting, there's more battling, and actually they do take less penalties. The hitting's there, but the fighting's not there. The dirty shots aren't there because these teams know that they can't afford to take a penalty in a bad situation and put them down shorthanded. And even though there's a lot of, as you want to call it, chippiness, very rarely do you see a stupid penalty called. Last night's game, if you watch it just went so fast because there weren't a lot of stoppage of plays. It was up and down. I mean, the boards are rattling. The glass was shaking. I mean, the place was just tremendous. I mean, it was fantastic to watch. And it was like, all of a sudden, there's 10 minutes left in the period. There's 3 minutes left in the period. It's like, where'd the time go? And there's no way I thought that game would end 1-0 because they just, none of the other games, I mean, they've all been close, but it's just you didn't think anyone would win 1-0. It was too bad they lost.
Yeah, there hasn't really been much scoring to say for the most part really in the series at all. I mean, what was it 3-2 overtime winning game 2 for Montreal, and then it was 2-1 Bruins in game 3.
And last night 1-0.
Yeah, the goaltending has really stood up. I mean, Tim Thomas obviously has taken the hold of the number one reins. I think he had it most of the season, and it was just a case of injuries or other things that were kind of holding him back. But certainly right now, he's on as top of his game as he's been all year.
Yeah, because I think he kind of went in on default because they were counting on Fernandez to come in and be number one. He got injured.
How many games did he end up playing this year? I mean, barely.
I'm not sure, but if he played 20, I'd be surprised. 20, 25. I mean,
I swear I haven't heard from him since like Christmas. I don't even know if he's played in a game at all.
Exactly.
So but
plus it's Boston, Montreal. I mean, there's some. I mean, Red Sox, Yankees, Celtics, Lakers, or even you can say Celtics, Sixers, and Boston, Montreal. It's just it doesn't get any better than that. Whether they're both 50 games under 500, or if they're both 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It's just there, and that says it all right there. That picture.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, you go back 4 years ago, the last time these teams met in the playoffs, it was the Bruins as the higher seed. They were up 3-1. And it was Montreal that came back and won 3 in a row. And who was Montreal's coach at that time? Do you remember?
Claude Gillian.
Yeah, and now he's on the Bruins bench. You wonder if now, maybe some of that magic will transfer over to the black and gold side. Maybe they're the ones that can mount the comeback. Obviously, it's heavy odds because they're going to have to win 2 games in Montreal. That's not going to be easy. But I just think the fact that all these games have been so close, I mean, I think it's going to come down to whoever's the hotter goaltender, not who's got a home ice advantage.
Yeah, I think that first goal in the next game is a big goal because if Montreal gets it, the fans will get into it, and it'll just snowball. The Bruins get it, maybe they can stop the train from rolling, get a little momentum on their own side. Because it's tough to win in Montreal. I mean, they just got great fans. They always have had great fans.
Yeah.
And they have a rookie goalie, and that's not good because every time they do that, they do well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Waugh was a rookie in '86 when they won, wasn't
Ken Dryden in '72.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you may not remember that.
Okay, Dryden. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember. I saw him play. I mean, I probably caught him at the tail end of his career. But we talk about the other Garden tenants and obviously the Celtics, and this is this week's cover of Sports Illustrated. Certainly a good one. This is from the matchup earlier this season, Celtics and Lakers, and Chance, I mean, I think I said this last month. There's a very strong possibility that the Celtics are going to meet Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then a chance to play the Lakers in the finals. I mean, that's the way it's setting up. Because if you look right now, Detroit's got the second best record in the NBA behind the Celtics, and Lakers are third, and they actually just clinched the top seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah, no, it's interesting this year. It's funny. I was reading today, and Dominique Wilkins actually thinks that Atlanta might upset him. He's got to be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what that's based on, because not only did the Celtics sweep the season
prayer.
series, I mean,
maybe the Pope's coming down to bless the team. I mean, I don't know.
Well, he's in the country. It might be.
That's the only way they're going to win.
I mean, the Celtics won all 3 regular season meetings with Atlanta, and I think the average margin of victory was 14 points. So I can't even see Atlanta winning a game in this series. It's very rare that I would go out on a limb and predict a 4-game sweep, but I certainly think the Celtics are in prime condition to do that. I mean, the other thing going against Atlanta here, other than Mike Bibby, they've got a lot of inexperienced players. Of course, old friend Joe Johnson still plays for Atlanta, and he's got a little playoff experience. But Bibby's really got the most, and after that, everyone else, I mean, they have no playoff experience at all. And you've got a veteran-tested team like the Celtics, who, even though they've never won, a lot of them, the big three, of course, have not won any championships, but they've all, been in playoff games, and certainly, you've got the veteran leaders on that team. I think they're just going to take care of business in this first round, and I think it's going to be over in 4.
I have more playoff experience than the Atlanta Hawks do from the games I've gone to than they have.
I believe I heard this is like the first time in 10 years or almost 10 years that they've even been in the playoffs. So, for the franchise. Speaking of the NBA, though, I thought it was kind of sad to hear. I mean, you probably heard this over the weekend. The Seattle Supersonics or Sonics or whatever they're going by these days, they played their final home game of the season. And it might be the final game they ever play in Seattle. There's a pretty strong possibility. Yeah, because the former owner of the Sonics sold them to a group from Oklahoma City, and it seems like David Stern, the NBA commissioner, has kind of been pushing for a team in Oklahoma City. They tried it last year on a trial basis with the New Orleans Hornets, who had to relocate because of situations, the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. So now it looks like you're going to be seeing the Sonics move, and I think it's kind of sad. I mean, Seattle's always been very supportive of their fans. This actually, I hate to say this, I'll bring up the comparison. I think it reminds me a little bit of the Hartford Whalers to a degree. Obviously, the Sonics have been a much more impressive franchise and have done more. They've even won an NBA championship. So I mean,
will you let Hartford go?
No, but the comparison is this: very supportive fan base, and it's not because of the fans or the lack of attendance that the team is moving.
No, they're moving because they can't get a new stadium. They can't get it built, and they can't survive on the antiquated stadium that they have and the revenues that are coming in. And you have other teams out there that are other cities and towns that want to throw money at these teams to beg them to come. And again, it's not like it was 30 years ago where a team is in town and they keep the same players and the fans are in love. It's a business. That's why you and I can't afford tickets to go to games anymore. We have to get them from people, or we have to give up a week's salary to go. They don't care. It's all about the money. And Oklahoma has the money, and they're going to build a stadium, and they're going to bring the team in, and they're going to promise them, guarantee them X amount of sellouts, and they just got their hand out, and they're going to get it. And Seattle doesn't want to do that anymore. And that's why it's happening. It's got nothing to do with fans. It's got nothing. It's all about how much they can get to move and what they can't get in Seattle. Just like the Patriots. Why were they going to move? They didn't have a big stadium. They didn't have luxury boxes. They couldn't bring the revenue in because the stadium was terrible. Luckily, we had an owner that wanted to keep him here because the owner was from here. You got to figure this owner is from Oklahoma.
Right.
So where does he want to bring that team? To his home.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, say they gave the city of Seattle, say the city of Seattle stepped up and gave the Sonics what they wanted, a brand new state-of-the-art arena. You think these Oklahoma-based owners
they wouldn't have been able to move because that was the stipulation. They had to have that in place. That was part of it. They said when the guy bought in, he said that they will do everything they can to keep the team there if it's financially viable for them to do that.
But how hard did they try might be a bigger question, because obviously they're from out of town, and ultimately they might have wanted to move the team anyway.
They said to the city of Seattle, this is what we need to make it viable, okay, for us, knowing that they could never match that and say, well, we tried. We told you what we needed.
Well,
you guys don't want to do it.
There you go. So, I mean, maybe, the whole point is that they were destined to move regardless of...
Well, if Seattle had stood up and said, okay, we'll meet those demands, they would have had to stay.
Yeah, well, it would have been interesting how that played out. Back to the Celtics again for a minute. Celtics, if they win tonight against New Jersey in their regular season finale, They're going to end up finishing with 66 wins, which will be the second most wins in a single season for a Celtics team. But also, I mean, you're looking at, compared to what happened last year, they're either going to be better by 41 or 42 wins this year, which blows away the old mark. I actually thought Larry Bird's rookie year, when the team improved from, I think it was 29 wins to 61 wins, that's a 32-win improvement. And I thought that was probably going to be the best turnaround we'd ever see from a Celtics franchise. From this franchise, and now, I mean, they've blown that record away. I mean, over 40 wins better than the previous year, and I mean, this isn't the way I think Danny Ainge envisioned it. Obviously, the plan was win the lottery, get Greg Oden, and yet, amazingly, out of all that, it didn't work out, but it did work out. I mean, now, look where this club is, and you've got guys like Garnett, Pierce, and Allen, all veteran players who've never won a championship that are all banding together to meet a common goal.
They should thank the lottery for not dropping in their lap. One or two, they should thank it, because if it did, we'd still be in that hole, because we'd still have the young guys, we wouldn't have the players we have now, and we'd still be marred mediocrity, guaranteed. But because they weren't, and it's amazing too, because wasn't a year ago at this time, everyone wanted Danny Ainge hung from the rafters at the Boston Garden, and now they love him. It's amazing what happened. The balls didn't drop for us, but everything else did.
And even with all the veterans on this team, it's really strange as you look down that roster. Some of the biggest sparks to the team all year, obviously, guys like Leon Poe coming up in his second year. Glenn Big Baby Davis has been a big spark. The two of them have actually kind of complemented each other well. It seems like one would get hot, then the other would. But, of course, the biggest young contributor of them all has got to be Rajon Rondo, the point guard that Coach Doc Rivers entrusted to run this team with all these veteran players, and the second-year player from Kentucky, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's just done tremendously, this year. His growth even from his rookie season.
I think he's actually exceeded what the Celtics thought he would do. And part of that could be, too, because he has three major options. If he only had Pierce and Allen and they didn't get Garnett, it might be a different story. But he's got three options, and they can't double team them all, because if they do, that means two Celtics are going to have nobody on them. It's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he's definitely, like I said, exceeded what they expected of him. But the kid's a smart kid. Obviously, they saw something in him that made them feel that they could get away without having a veteran point guard come in to lead the team. They got some backup, which will help in the playoffs, only to rest him. And it's going to be a little different in the playoffs. And he may be a little bit rattled, a little bit more than he has been in the season. But he has just grown and grown and grown all season. And it's just, like I said, second year. And you call it second year, but I call it his rookie year because he didn't play a lot last year.
That's true. Yeah, they had other folks at the point guard spot. I guess the biggest question, I don't know if I want to call it a question or concern about the Celtics, is I know that usually NBA championship teams don't play 12 players in playoff games. Normally you shorten up your bench, 8, maybe 9. You look back, to the last Celtics team of '86 that won a title. That was pretty much an 8-man team. You could have even maybe said this. Let's see, with
6 or 7.
Yeah, and that was it. The one thing. It's great that Doc Rivers has been giving all these guys playing time, but starting this weekend, Doc's got to shorten up that bench. I guess my question here to you, Howie, is who do you think are going to be the guys that actually form the nucleus of that second unit?
I don't know if it will shorten up. I think they'll go with the hot hand. If Perkins isn't playing well, they'll bring in Davis. If they got P.J. Brown sitting on the back burner, he can come in. Cassell's going to see some time. Tony Allen's going to see some time. So I think they're just going to roll with matchups, and they're going to roll with who's hot. I don't think it's not like the old days where you could shore it up, because back then you only had so many players you could trust. Because back then you'd have 4 or 5 All-Stars and you had nothing. But now teams are more spread out. So I just think they'll go like they are now, with the hot hand who's ever playing well and whatever matchups are working. Foul trouble will come into it. There's a lot of things that will end up coming into it down the stretch, but I think they'll all see time, a lot of time at different periods.
And one name you left out of there from their bench that's been playing really well the last few weeks has been James Posey. He's been seeing extended minutes. Of course, Eddie House. Now that's a great guy to have off the bench, because if you need a 3, he's kind of like this millennium's Vinnie Johnson.
Yep.
You bring him in the little microwave, and I think that's somebody that could definitely help him out.
Yeah, we'll call him the slow cooker.
There you go. There you go. I mean, but yeah, it's great that they can go 12 deep. But you're right. I think it's going to ultimately come down to matchups and who's hot. It'll just be interesting to see how that plays out, either on a game-to-game or even a series-to-series basis. Yeah. Depending on how Doc wants to play it. Yeah, but
it's even like the Red Sox, how they've done that over the period. Each playoff series, different guys would not be on the 25-man roster because they'd look at the matchups, they'd look at what they have and what's going to fit them best. And I think sports is more like that now, not like the old days where where the Celtics had 6, 7 guys. That's all that played, and everyone else just sat around.
Yeah.
Well,
also the way they play defense so intensely too, I think you've got to give guys fewer minutes. I mean, and that's one of the great things going in is that you look at the average minutes this year for Pierce, Garnett, and Allen. They're all like in the low to mid 30s. So that's what they want to do.
And they've been resting here down the stretch too.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of these games are playing 22 minutes, or not at all. So they're getting a little vacation here before not being totally not playing at all, but they're only playing like I said, 20 minutes out of 48.
Yeah, and conversely, over in the Western Conference, you've had teams that for the last 2 months have been sort of in playoff mode where they can't rest their starters because you've had 9 or 10 teams competing for those 8 spots, and finally they've been settled. But it's a totally different situation out west. Maybe the fact that the East is a bit top heavy with Boston and Detroit up there certainly is going to benefit the Celtics that they didn't have to play as hard down the stretch here.
Kind of like the Patriots having to play a playoff game every week because they were undefeated.
Yeah, back to the Patriots. Well, we do have their 2008 schedule. We may get to that. I may need to see that because I may want to forget that 2007 happened. Let's go back to the phones. Who do we have on the line here? We have Harry. Harry, good evening. Welcome to Time Out for Sports Talk.
Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
Hey, watch that gentleman stuff. People might get the wrong idea.
We're doing great, Harry.
Howie under control tonight. The last time I saw him, he seemed very depressed on television,
I'm trying, Harry.
Actually,
I'm trying.
Howie, do you remember what I told you that night? You were getting us all depressed. It was like when I was talking to that guy Bob that calls, Mr. Depressing. You were talking about our number 1 starter for the Red Sox, and you were believing that story. He was hurt. He could be out a month and a half. And what did I do? I calmed you down, told him he'd be starting up in Toronto, and you were doubting me.
Well, was
Howie,
that?
I was kind of hurt that you doubted me because I would never doubt you.
It was that seminar that you held that I went to that really changed my whole aura of what was going on.
You much happier now?
Much happier.
That's good to see.
That medication worked wonders, Dr. Harry.
So now the Celtics going all the way?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, would you?
Harry. Got it?
Yes, sir.
There we go. See it? Right there, Celtics. I'm wearing the shirt, baby. Matter of fact, it says playoffs. Celtics playoffs. There we get over here. I got it on.
And Todd, what do you think? What are they going to do?
I think they're going to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. In fact, they probably ought to get to the NBA Finals. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to I don't like to look that far ahead, but I'm really looking forward to that Detroit Eastern Conference Finals series. These two teams really match up well. The only thing that does I don't even want to say scare, maybe that's too strong, but a potential second-round matchup with either Cleveland or Washington could be scary. The only reason I say that is the Celtics...
Cleveland doesn't bother me. Washington bothers me.
Celtics were only 2-2, though, against the Cavs, and they were 1-3 against the Wizards this year.
Yeah, Wizards seem to own them. That kind of bothers me, too. Howie, what do you think?
I think Todd needs to go to your therapy group.
By the way, actually, Howie, did you hear about the Wizards? I guess they did some trash talking this week. They said, bring on, this is going to be like the third straight year that they've played Cleveland in the playoffs, and they said, bring on LeBron James. We can handle them. We handled them during the regular season. This is our year. It's time. And, of course, LeBron took some offense to that.
Did they even have a winning record?
The Washington? Yeah, no, they were 43-38. Actually, I guess they have a
few games above 500.
We only have 2 teams that aren't over 500 that made the playoffs on the East this year.
I mean, how can people trash talk if you're only like a 500 club, though? A few games over,
Yeah, well, Cleveland themselves only 9 games over. They got off to a really slow start this year, too. Of course, they've made a lot of trades, and former Celtics...
They haven't played well since that trade.
Yeah, that is interesting. They brought in Delonte West and Wally Szczerbiak, former Celtics, are now playing in Cleveland with LeBron. I mean, he needed. I think LeBron though needed some veteran presence around him, guys who could step up and play big.
Was Szczerbiak, was he healthy for the year? I'm not being wise. I don't know. Every place he goes, he seems to be hurt.
I thought, I didn't hear him getting hurt this year. I think he played for the most part. although he had kind of a quiet year. Maybe some of his just overall numbers were down. He might have been getting fewer minutes, too. I'm not quite sure what the situation was there. I didn't follow the Cavs probably as closely as I should have this year. Of course, I could probably say that about most of the NBA. I mean, the thing
I
that
don't
kind
think I've ever followed the Cavs.
Yeah, but the one thing I think where I really started to believe in the Celtics team and what they can do, I mean, I know you were sort of joking about the whole negative thing there, Harry, but, I think
that was for real.
The trip through the Texas Triangle, though, when they won the three games against San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas, and they did it over a span of 4 nights. And especially the 2 against San Antonio, they were way down against the Spurs, and then they blew out Houston, who had won 22 straight games. I mean, that's when I really started to believe that the Celtics team was something special, and that's another interesting part of it. Celtics went 31-10 on the road this year. So even though they're going to have home court advantage through the entire NBA playoffs, I think that what makes you believe that this team can really, eventually hang banner number 17 from the rafters of the Garden is that, they can go out and win on the road.
Yeah.
They did a nice job. I mean, you really can't knock them for anything. To come around the way they did, all the guys that they swapped off this, just to do what they've done. Doc's done a great job this year. These guys really work well together. I mean, the thing that really impressed me was the bench. The bench is probably one insane.
Yeah, I think at the beginning.
I go back to the 60s,
You're not that old, Harry.
They had a good bench then, too.
Yeah, just a kid at that,
How much do you think? Do you guys think Doc is getting enough credit for what he's been able to do this year? I mean, there's always been sort of a knock on him that Rivers can't.
I think there's been a lot of positives for him this year. All the radio that I listen to, that they're all giving him the praises. Just so what we were just talking about. It's one thing to bring the 3 big guys in there. You bring in the bench guys, and all these guys mesh from day one. It's not a simple thing to do.
And I think the funny thing, too, is I think when he came in, they brought him in as being the guy that can teach the young players to play. I mean, that was his moniker that they hung on him when they brought him in with all the young kids we had.
Yep.
Is that he was great at that, but it seems like he's done his best work doing a Francona. I mean, taking all these veterans, and even though they're all different personalities, making them play and mesh together, even though he has to treat them each individually, and they're all stars. And I think this is his best work.
Well, yeah, what makes that interesting is that he, that didn't happen gradually over time. He went from one year being more of a teacher, almost like a high school college coach type, where he had to do more instruction, to this year where he kind of just sort of let the players do what they are able to do, and for him it's just sort of managing their minutes and getting the right combo of players on the floor, doing the matchups, having that stretch of 3 or 4 games where Leon Poe might be the better guy in there to play down low. Then they went back to Big Baby for a week or something like that. I mean, that's it seems to be Doc's pushing all the right buttons. And actually, Howie, you made a good comparison there to Terry Francona, because obviously last year Francona pushed all the right buttons for the Red Sox.
And I think Garnett's the glue there, because I mean, if you have a lot of young guys and you have a veteran that you keep hearing, oh, we're going to get veteran guys around me, my career's coming to an end, I don't know if we're going to win. I mean, that doesn't help matters. It doesn't help the coach, doesn't help the players, doesn't help anybody. But Garnett came in and he made such a difference that, I mean, basically, and I don't mean this anyway, Paul Pierce has finally shut his mouth to play basketball. He's not complaining. He's not moaning and groaning. Yeah, he played the good soldier, but he played it reluctantly the last few years with the young kids around.
Yeah, you get sick of him moaning. You hit the nail on the head with him.
Yeah.
And he was willing to take a cut in his production. I mean, this year averaging a little under 20 points a game is Pierce, and I know in past years you'd be good for about 25. So he was willing to take that reduced role as far as him getting the ball in crunch time.
But I bet you all his averages are up.
That's what a lot of people
percentages are all up.
Yeah, no, I think that's what most of the folks who've been watching the Celtics day in and day out have been saying, is that, he's playing better even if some of the numbers don't bear it out. You can just see it on the floor. His defensive intensity, which he didn't have much of in prior years, all of that. I mean, and I think you're right again, Howie. Garnett is the guy who really holds that together. I mean, I noticed that probably in the first handful of games I watched at the beginning of the season, that he really, was the player.
He took over the team. He became the team leader. As much as Pierce has been here forever.
He's so much fun to watch. I mean, he's burying these shots from out near the 3-point line that like nothing at all. A big guy to be doing something like that, and just blocking shots.
I love his passing ability.
I really never saw him play over the years.
Yeah, but how about the way he passes? He's a 7-footer, and he's got the hands of a 6-foot guy.
Everything he does.
He reminds me of Bill Walton. Bill Walton was about the only other guy that size that could pass the ball the way that Garnett can. You know,
Yeah,
Garnett,
that's a
I should
point,
say,
yeah.
plays like Walton. Because, I mean, he just no-look passes. I mean, soft touches, bounce passes, whatever. I mean, and he's always looking to pass. He's not looking for his shot. I mean, he takes his shots, but, I mean, he comes down looking to give the ball up to someone who has a better shot. Like I said, that Bill Walton, that's all I can think of when I see that.
Yeah, and of course the ball movement itself is such a throwback to a couple decades ago. You don't see a lot of NBA teams pass the ball around as much as the Celtics do. I mean, you've seen Detroit maybe do it the last few years a little bit. A couple of the teams out west to a degree. But, I mean, the Lakers ultimately run everything through Kobe, even though they've gotten them a slightly better supporting cast now. But, I mean, in the end, you know, it's great to watch the Celtics play a lot of old school here in the 21st century, you know, passing the ball around and getting that guy, you know, finding him for the open shot. Ultimately, somebody ends up getting open as the defenses are rotating around, and the Celtics have a lot of guys who can hit that perimeter jump shot too.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. It's just so much fun to see the passing. Got so sick of watching the one-on-one game in the NBA. Just turned it off, and it just now I look forward to turning the game on, seeing some passing, good D, the whole shebang. They just do a nice job.
Exactly. I got the same thing. I got so tired of watching them come down court, wait till 21, 22 seconds, everyone clears out, and one guy tries to do his thing, dipsy-do, whatever. You know, it was so boring to watch. I mean, it's like...
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's just that to me is just a great part of the game.
Yeah,
it really is. The only negative I have in the Celtics this year, and it's a minute one, is PG. I mean, the guy who showed me nothing.
I'm sorry, I think you got cut off there. What'd you say, Harry?
The only negative I've seen with the Celtics this year, and it's, as I said, a small one, is P.J. Brown. You know, he showed me nothing. I mean, I realized he's just a pickup, but I thought, you know, they were talking, I thought we were going to get a little more out of him than we have. He just hasn't seemed to adapt.
Yeah, I think, wasn't he was out of the league when the Celtics signed him, right? Yeah. I mean, so he hadn't played all season, and so he really, I mean, as far as being physically ready to go, I mean, maybe that's part of the reason why he kind of has been so sluggish and really hasn't contributed maybe the way we all thought he would. I mean, the Celtics team's been pretty much an up-tempo team, and I just maybe think Brown is lagging a little behind just because he hadn't played much.
Well, you know what, he may just be one of those that, you know, come playoff time, he may just come through because he's that clutch veteran that's been there, you know, and I think that's all they got. They have him for insurance, if nothing else. I don't think they expect a lot out of him other than it being an insurance package.
He was on the Miami team 2 years ago when they won, right?
Yeah, talk about a fallout.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, how do you go from – I mean, they've got the most ping pong balls going into the lottery just 2 years after they won an NBA title.
From the
thing with Brown, though, I mean, Brown plays, Scalabrini's going to sit.
I think Scalabrini's not even going to see any time in the playoffs because if you look, they've already got 12 guys, and Scalabrini's actually the 13th player right now on the team if there's nobody injured.
Right.
If no one gets injured, he's not – I don't even think he makes an appearance in the postseason at all.
Just collect his check and get his ring.
There we go. So what do you think? The Bruins going to take one tomorrow night?
God, I hope so. Just because I don't want to see this series end, win or lose. I just
bring it back to Boston.
Yeah, I just want to see more of it because I've really enjoyed it. You know?
The goaltending, you know, Thomas can't do much more than he's done. Defense has played well.
No, Thomas has
if
done more than
we only had a sniper, huh?
Yeah, if we, you know, why can't we get someone like a Joe Thornton? Oh, I'm sorry, we did have him.
Did he play here?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Harrison, and he took a shot at him, was it today or yesterday? Geez, I'd like to have Joe back in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Who took a shot at him? Dan Shaughnessy?
No, it was Harrison. Cinder was taking a shot at Savard.
Yeah.
Then Savard, and, you know, I'm trying to think of how he put it. Oh, I forget. It was like, may put the numbers up, but I butchered it. I'm not even going to get into it, but he took a shot at Savard. He's like a Joe Thornton type of player.
Was that overtime winner by Savard? I heard somewhere that was Savard's first playoff goal?
Really?
Or I thought I heard that somewhere, which didn't make a lot of sense to me because he's a veteran player, and I would have thought maybe it's his first game-winning goal?
In some way, yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, Harry, listen, we enjoyed talking to you. Certainly thanks for calling. I think we do have someone else on the line. We're going to try to squeeze him in before the end of the show.
No, it's not the other guy, is it?
It might very well be. So
you should probably just
we may need you to call back to talk us off the ledge.
Look on the bright side. If it is, we're going off the air very shortly.
See ya.
Harry, always good talking to you.
Hey, Harry, take care. Good luck.
You too.
Yeah, all the best, Harry. We're going to go back to the phones, and I believe this is our friend Bob, and hopefully Bob won't have us having to be talked off the ledge. But, Bob, welcome to Timeout.
Excuse me, I'm eating some pizza from Santapio's.
Okay, is this like an advertisement or something?
Where's Bob Daly?
I'm sorry?
Where's Bob Daly?
Well, he
He had
unfortunately...
a prior engagement
he
and he
did.
couldn't keep this
Yeah,
commitment.
we actually, our plan, we were supposed to have Bob in studio tonight, and something came up, and he couldn't be with us. But Howie and I, as Howie said, sports is in the third chair tonight. Certainly lots to talk about right now.
God, the only reason I call in is to talk to Howie and Bob Daly.
Well, why'd you wait so long?
I forgot. I was cooking a cheeseburger out in the grill.
I thought you were eating a pizza from Santarpio's.
I had that first, and then I just went out and cooked a...
Oh, I get it. You wanted to make it a cheeseburger pizza, so you cooked a cheeseburger on the grill to crumble up on top of it?
I had 4 beers and a pizza from Santapio's.
And
There
then,
you
of course,
go.
that would be a perfect time to then jump on the phone and talk to us.
And guess what?
Yeah,
I saluted you guys while I was having it.
thank you.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's much appreciated, although usually I don't salute with one finger. But anyway, that's...
Hey.
Hey, you know, I feel bad. I always took
This
you to...
finger, don't salute with this
I
finger.
always took you to be a stand-up guy, Bob, and you welched on our bet. I'm really disappointed in you.
Which one was
I
this?
didn't
Pedroia
welch on
bet last
our
year.
bet.
You welched on that, man.
I did not.
You haven't paid up.
I told you some night I'm going to take you and Kathy out for pizza.
No,
But you still haven't, so...
I'm just not
Howie's
paying
waiting.
for Todd. There's no way I'm going to pay for Todd.
Understand? Hey, you know what, Bob? I don't even mind. You take Howie and Kathy out, but is Howie's saying you haven't even done that.
Yeah, you welched on the bet, man.
Actually, you and Howie made the bet, so that's fine. You can leave me out of it. I don't really care.
You had nothing to do with it, right?
You're right. No, but Howie's saying you haven't even paid up on him.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
What's Dustin Pedroia hitting right now?
We'll tell you. We got his stats right here.
Pedroia's-
311.
He's what?
He's hitting 311 right now,
No, you cheat.
and he's played in every game.
You're cheating.
I'm cheating. Oh, did you know this off the top of your head, or was that the whole object of that? Is I'm supposed to know what he's hitting right now? I mean, actually,
Hey,
the bet you made.
that's what these pieces of paper are. We're not just scribbling on them, you know.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe some of them.
Yeah, but didn't you make Bob? Didn't you make the bet with Howie last year? So I mean, this year's average doesn't even matter. But if you want to add insult to injury, I mean, Pedroia's hitting over 300 again.
You know, I don't know if you guys know about it, but I'm suffering from Alzheimer's.
I don't think that's something we want to be making fun of at all. Bob,
No, it isn't.
But
I don't remember making the bet.
Well, don't worry. You
that
know
would
what?
be amnesia.
We have a tape, and we could replay it for you anytime you'd like to see it. So then we can refresh your memory.
Bob, we're going to give you just enough time to make one final thought because we are up against the clock here.
I thought Howie was a friend of mine, but I could see tonight he's not.
I'm just calling him like I see him.
Yeah, go ahead. Pour your water in there.
Who said it's water?
Hey, guys, I'll let you go.
All right,
All right,
take
thanks
it easy.
for calling, Bob.
Talk to
Hey,
you next month,
Good night.
Bob. A lot of things we didn't even have time to get into. I was going to say the Masters. We both predicted Tiger was going to win. Congratulations, Trevor Immelman from South Africa. Tiger then got his...
Tiger makes half those putts he misses. He walks away with that.
Yeah.
He just couldn't hit a putt. I could have missed those putts as bad as he did.
Then he got his knee scoped out. Now he's going to be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
So,
probably back just in
we're
time
there.
for the PGA.
I didn't even get to mention Red Sox. We talked briefly about them there at the end, but they went into first place for the first time yesterday.
Yes, it was. Look,
So.
the world was right again. The Red Sox are on the top.
Actually, I think they were in first place back in March when they won opening day in Japan. So
Yeah.
this is the second
Yeah,
time.
because no one else had played.
Right. But they're
1-0
finally
and
back.
all 0-0s.
Nice stretch. They've won 4 out of 5 over Yankees and Cleveland. I guess they're losing tonight, but that's okay. I mean, they're still playing well. They're kind of hitting their stride a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
No, they'll be all right. I mean, I just don't want to hear all about that Japan trip. They're tired. Please get over it. Play
Yeah.
baseball. Let's play.
I think that's in the rearview mirror, and we're going to mention. I was going to briefly mention Bill Buckner and the nice ovation he got, but we've run out of time. Next show, yes, thank you, Victoria. May 28th is our next program. We are up against the clock here, and we also apologize we didn't have any graphics for you this evening. But May 28th is our next show. That's post Memorial Day, and we'll be talking probably more Celtics then when they're playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. So thanks to our callers tonight. Thank you, Howie. It's been a fun hour, and we will see you later. So until then, good night. Thanks to our crew for a good show. And